The knock at the door came just after sunset. It wasn't the friendly kind. It was sharp, forceful, the kind that makes your stomach drop before you even know who's standing on the other side. Inside, Danielle Morton froze. She wasn't expecting company. She wasn't expecting trouble. Yet somehow, trouble had found her. When she opened the door, 2 police officers stood on her porch, hands resting on their belts. Their eyes swept her up and down, already carrying judgment before she said a word. "Ma'am," one began firmly, "we received a complaint from your homeowners association. They said you've been hostile, threatening board members, and violating community standards. We need to talk." Danielle's heart raced. Hostile? Threatening? All of this over what? She glanced at her porch where a simple sunflower flag hung proudly, swaying in the evening breeze. That was her crime. That was a violation the HOA had been badgering her about for weeks. She took a breath, trying to steady her voice. "Officers, this is about a flag. That's all. A piece of fabric with sunflowers on it. Nothing more." But the cops didn't soften. If anything, their stance grew tighter, their tone sharper. "The HOA claims you refused to comply, and that you became aggressive when they tried to enforce the rules. We don't want this to escalate." Escalate. The word hung heavy in the air. Danielle looked past the officers and saw silhouettes moving behind curtains. Neighbors were watching. Phones were recording. To them, it probably looked like she was a problem. That was the HOA's plan all along, to paint her as the aggressor. And that's when it happened. From inside the house, footsteps echoed. Strong, steady, purposeful. The front door swung wider, and out stepped Marcus Morton, Danielle's husband, broad-shouldered, calm. But there was something else, something that changed everything in an instant, because Marcus wasn't just any husband. He was a sergeant with the local police department, and tonight he was still in full uniform. The officers froze. Their posture shifted immediately. Hands dropped from their belts. The weight of authority slipped off their shoulders the moment they realized whose doorstep they were standing on. Marcus's voice was calm, but carried steel. "Is there a reason you're here harassing my wife over a sunflower flag?" The officers stumbled over their words. "Sarge, we were responding to a call from the HOA. They said, Marcus cut in, his tone sharp, or they lied. Because from where I'm standing, what I see is intimidation, a setup, and if my wife hadn't opened this door, you'd still be taking the HOA's word as gospel." The neighbors watching leaned closer. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was revelation. Danielle stood taller now, strength rising as Marcus continued. "You got called here for a flag, not a weapon, not violence, a sunflower flag. And instead of asking questions, you treated my wife like a criminal. That ends now." The silence was suffocating. One officer cleared his throat. "Sergeant, we didn't know." Marcus stepped closer, his eyes locked on theirs. "That's the problem. You didn't want to know. You showed up ready to enforce the word of a homeowners association without facts, without context, without respect. You embarrassed yourselves. And you disrespected my family." The crowd outside shifted. Some neighbors nodded, ashamed they believed the worst. Others whispered nervously, realizing the HOA might have gone too far this time. Danielle finally spoke, her voice steady and clear. "For weeks, I've been bullied over a flag. I didn't fight back. I didn't raise my voice. But when someone abuses power long enough, they start believing they're untouchable. Tonight, that ends." Marcus turned to the officers. "You can go back and tell the HOA this matter is closed. And if they want to keep escalating, I'll be filing harassment charges on behalf of my wife. Do I make myself clear?" Both officers nodded quickly. "Yes, Sergeant." Within minutes, the patrol car pulled away. The red and blue lights faded. And in their place, the sound of whispered conversation spread to the neighborhood. Danielle looked at Marcus, tears welling but not from fear, from relief. For weeks she had felt isolated, cornered by people who thought they could push her into silence. But now the truth was out. The HOA had overplayed their hand, and in doing so, they had exposed themselves. And the neighborhood? It would never look at them the same way again. Because on Willow Glen Drive, the story would be told and retold. The HOA tried to weaponize the police against a black woman, but froze when her husband walked out, wearing the very badge they tried to use against her. And from that night forward, everyone knew control built on lies crumbles the moment truth walks through the door.